Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The tension inside the Commanders' facility exploded after practice when head coach Dan Quinn reportedly lost his composure in front of the team. Witnesses described the atmosphere as unusually heavy, almost suffocating, when Quinn gathered the players for a routine post-practice huddle. Instead of the usual motivational speech, his tone escalated into what some called a verbal eruption. His target appeared to be one specific player, a name not officially confirmed yet, but several onlookers swear they know exactly who it was. According to insiders, Quinn shouted that the player will not play another snap under my watch, throwing his cap to the ground in a burst of frustration. The words cut the silence like a blade, leaving teammates frozen in shock. Coaches often deliver heated speeches, but this was different. This felt final, permanent, like a coach burning a bridge right in front of everyone. Reporters on site didn't capture the full exchange, but the murmurs that followed spread quickly from practice field to social media feeds. By the time the players returned to the locker room, the entire building was buzzing with speculation. Was this the end of that player's time in Washington, or simply a heat-of-the-moment outburst? For those who follow Dan Quinn closely, this type of reaction feels almost out of character. He has built a reputation as a steady, defensive-minded coach who preaches discipline, composure, and trust. The idea that he would publicly single out a player and go as far as declaring that the individual would never take the field again contradicts much of what people believe about his leadership style. Yet that contradiction may be exactly why the story has gathered so much attention in such a short span of time. Sources say the practice itself had already been intense, with a few chippy moments between offensive and defensive players. Coaches often expect tempers to flare in such environments, but Quinn's eruption surprised even the most seasoned veterans present. Some insiders whisper that this was not an isolated conflict, but rather the breaking point of weeks, maybe months, of growing tension behind the scenes. If that's true, then the practice field simply provided the stage for something inevitable to erupt. Whatever the truth, Quinn's message was unmistakable. A line had been crossed, and he was unwilling to allow it to go unnoticed. His choice of words suggests a finality that feels very different from a temporary punishment or sideline argument. The player at the center of the storm has not yet spoken publicly, and the Commanders have not issued an official statement. But silence only adds fuel to the fire. Inside NFL locker rooms, stories like this never remain private for long. Teammates talk, staff whisper, and eventually the narrative escapes the walls of the facility. Already, reporters who cover the team daily have hinted at knowing the identity of the player, but so far they've avoided naming him directly. That discretion might not last much longer, especially with fans flooding social media demanding clarity. Imagine being one of the players on that roster, watching your head coach declare, in front of everyone, that someone would never play again. The ripple effect is massive. Trust between coach and player becomes fragile, and every member of the team wonders who might be next. Does Quinn still have the locker room? Or did this eruption fracture the bond he has worked to build since arriving in Washington? It's a delicate moment, and the Commanders, a franchise already under constant scrutiny, cannot afford distractions like this one if they hope to compete seriously this season. Fans have already begun dissecting the situation with their own theories, many pointing to recent practice reports about underperforming players. A few names surface more than others, particularly those who have struggled with effort or consistency in training camp. Social media detectives, as usual, are connecting dots, analyzing body language from press conferences, even revisiting old clips to predict who Quinn might have targeted. But the bigger picture goes beyond just one player. If Quinn truly reached a breaking point, it could mean that discipline and accountability are about to take center stage in Washington. This type of declaration, "he will not play again," isn't just about one individual. It's about sending a message to the entire locker room. The coach is effectively saying that no one is untouchable, that standards matter more than names. For a team trying to shake off years of inconsistency, this could either serve as a rallying cry or spark a dangerous divide. The Commanders' fans, desperate for progress and stability, now find themselves caught between supporting a coach demanding discipline and worrying about whether the drama will derail the season before it even starts. The NFL is no stranger to sideline blow-ups and locker room controversies, but moments like these are often remembered long after the season ends. They become the stories fans tell, the headlines that define a coach's tenure, the rumors that follow players wherever they go. Quinn's eruption already feels like one of those moments. The fact that it happened in practice, away from the cameras of game day, gives it an almost mythic quality. Everyone is scrambling for details, but the lack of concrete facts only makes the speculation louder. Some argue that Quinn's passion proves his commitment, that he's setting a tone the Commanders desperately need. Others believe it signals instability, a sign that pressure is already getting to him early in his Washington tenure. Either way, it's the kind of event that changes perception, shaping how fans, players, and media talk about the Commanders moving forward. With no official word yet from the team, the story lives in the gray zone of rumor and reaction, exactly where NFL drama thrives. Each passing day, without clarification, only strengthens the legend of what really went down after that heated practice. Adding to the drama, Quinn has always been a coach players describe as approachable, the kind of leader who earns loyalty through respect rather than fear. That image now faces a serious test. If this outburst becomes the defining storyline of his early days with the Commanders, the fallout could reshape his relationship with the roster. Some players may quietly support the move, interpreting it as a sign that accountability finally has real consequences. Others may see it as a betrayal, a public humiliation that could have been handled privately. What cannot be denied is that Quinn chose the most dramatic way possible to deliver his message. Instead of a closed-door meeting or a quiet benching, he exploded in front of everyone, leaving no room for interpretation. That kind of moment lingers in the minds of players. Every time they take the field, they'll remember how quickly things can turn. For fans, the incident has become a mix of shock, curiosity, and fascination. Was it a slip of temper or a calculated statement? Until Quinn himself explains his side, the entire episode will remain a mystery wrapped in speculation. One thing is certain, Washington football just got a lot more interesting. What makes this entire situation even more intriguing is the timing. We're still early enough in the season that most teams are focused on building chemistry, not breaking it. Training camps are designed to bring players together, to build a sense of unity that carries into the fall. Yet, here we are, with one of the league's most talked about coaches allegedly drawing a hard line in the sand against one of his own players. The whispers suggest that the outburst wasn't about a single mistake in practice. It was about effort, about buy-in, about whether everyone is truly committed to Quinn's vision for the Commanders. That context shifts everything. Instead of a coach losing his cool randomly, this becomes the story of a leader enforcing his philosophy. Still, the optics are harsh. Fans only hear "he will never play for me again," and that kind of statement cannot be walked back easily. Even if apologies are made behind closed doors, the perception outside remains one of division. Washington's new era under Quinn was supposed to be about stability and growth. Instead, it now feels like the team is already grappling with unnecessary drama that could define the months ahead. If you followed the NFL long enough, you know that these stories rarely stay confined to one team. Other franchises are always watching, evaluating, waiting to see whether there's an opportunity to swoop in and take advantage. If the mystery player is truly finished with the Commanders, trade speculation becomes inevitable. Rival coaches and general managers pay attention to any sign of a rift, especially if it involves talent that could be valuable elsewhere. For the Commanders, this creates a delicate balancing act. Do they cut ties quickly, admitting the relationship is beyond repair, or do they attempt to mend fences for the sake of the locker room? Either choice carries risk. Cutting a player may weaken depth at a critical position, but keeping him after such a public dismissal risks undermining Quinn's authority. No matter the path, the Commanders' leadership will face questions about whether they stand firmly behind their coach or prefer to preserve roster stability. This is the kind of situation that spirals, where one decision influences countless others. And as much as fans love the drama, those inside the building know how dangerous it can be for team chemistry and long-term goals. Behind the scenes, veteran players often become the true voices of reason in moments like this. They're the ones who pull teammates aside, remind them of the bigger picture, and try to keep distractions from overwhelming the locker room. Sources close to the Commanders suggest that a few respected veterans have already begun smoothing things over, reminding everyone that practice tensions can be misleading. But the challenge here is that Quinn's declaration felt so absolute. Saying someone won't play again is not just frustration, it's a public severing of ties. Players are smart, and they know when a moment is more than just a coach blowing off steam. If veterans cannot ease the tension, the risk is that factions form within the locker room, those loyal to Quinn's vision and those who feel alienated by his approach. That kind of division is toxic, capable of undoing months of progress in a matter of days. Fans want to believe that everyone will rally together, but whispers from inside suggest the fracture is real. The question becomes whether Quinn can repair trust fast enough, or if the damage has already created a lasting scar on the team's identity. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The most fascinating part is how quickly this rumor has transformed into a story bigger than football. Analysts on talk shows are already debating whether Quinn's leadership style is sustainable. Some frame him as a disciplinarian trying to instill toughness in a team that has lacked it for years. Others argue he crossed the line, risking alienation in a league where player respect is everything. That split in perception mirrors exactly what's happening in the fan base. On social media, you see one half of fans cheering Quinn for refusing to tolerate mediocrity, while the other half fears he's repeating mistakes of coaches who lost their teams by being too rigid. The truth probably lies somewhere in between, but in sports, perception often matters more than reality. Once a narrative takes hold, that Quinn lost control, that a player was exiled, it becomes nearly impossible to rewrite. Every future interaction between coach and players will now be viewed through this lens, every sideline reaction scrutinized, every substitution dissected. The drama has officially escaped the locker room and entered the national conversation. And once that happens, the Commanders have lost the ability to contain it entirely. One overlooked detail is the potential impact on younger players, particularly rookies who are still learning what professional football demands. For them, practice should be about absorbing schemes, developing habits, and building confidence. Instead, they've witnessed a dramatic confrontation that might reshape how they view their head coach. Do they see Quinn as a no-nonsense leader setting a powerful example, or as someone capable of turning on his own at any moment? The answer to that question could determine whether the Commanders' culture grows stronger or begins to fracture from within. Culture is the backbone of any rebuilding effort, and Washington is very much still in the process of defining theirs. If rookies feel inspired, they may embrace Quinn's intensity and elevate their standards. If they feel unsettled, however, the risk of disengagement grows. NFL history is filled with examples of talented teams undone not by lack of ability, but by lack of unity. That's the danger Washington faces now. A single statement, shouted in frustration after practice, has the power to echo through the entire season, shaping how the youngest and most impressionable members of the roster understand life in the league. Ultimately, the story of Dan Quinn's explosion will either fade away as a footnote or linger as a defining moment. Much depends on what happens next. If the Commanders start winning, the incident will be reframed as the spark that lit a fire under the roster, proof that the coach demanded accountability and got results. If they struggle, however, it will be remembered as the day everything began to unravel, a symbol of dysfunction that never truly healed. Quinn himself now faces the toughest test of his young tenure in Washington, managing perception, repairing relationships, and proving that his outburst was not a loss of control but a declaration of standards. Fans will watch closely, analysts will speculate endlessly, and the players themselves will quietly decide whether to buy in or check out. For now, all we have is rumor, whispers, and speculation. But in the NFL, that's often more powerful than the truth. Until Quinn or the Commanders break their silence with a clear explanation, this story will continue to grow legs, running wild through the media cycle. One practice, one outburst, one sentence. Suddenly the Commanders' season already feels like it's hanging in the balance. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.